So with the Epstein files being released, the millions of documents that people are still surfing, trying to figure out, they're trying to consolidate. There's millions of pages, millions of exploitations being documented through the DOJ files that are being released. There's still millions of documents that have not been released, and that is terrifying to imagine what is on those documents that they're trying to keep from the public because they're so damning. As I stated, when it came to the whole Epstein saga, the reason they kept this under wraps, and there is a bit of a mystery on why exactly they chose now to finally give us information, to give us the ability to understand the sickness, the satanic rot that our leaders, that our establishment, that the elite class have used for decades. One of the things I said about the Epstein files and why they kept it under wraps is because it opens the floodgates to a lot more understanding of the systemic rot that is taking among us. And with the Epstein files is more questions are opening the avenues to investigating other scenarios, other crimes, other instances that are involving child exploitation. All the stories you hear out of Hollywood, the pervertedness when it comes to the child star industry. So things like that in that nature, and how these elites, how these leaders are able to maintain power. All these things are being answered through the Epstein files. They didn't want people to know about that. They don't want people to understand how dark and disturbing and evil the system truly is. From every faction, when it comes to entertainment, music, sports, everything is connected through these files. It's not just Jeffrey Epstein, it's the connection and the network that derives from it. So, for example, Britney Spears. We know about Britney Spears. We know that in the late 2000s, there was that saga where Britney Spears went all, psychotic and people ranted about her. TMZ did, exposés about Britney Spears going off the rails, and the late night comics were making fun of her, and people thought she was just, nuts. She was crazy. She was too famous too quickly, and, she just went loose. But with the Epstein files being released, and what we understand about the Hollywood industry, the music industry, the child stardom industry, from documentaries like Quiet on Set, we know that Britney Spears was going through traumatic instances that led up to her psychotic breakdown. So, for example, this was pointed out from a guy named Unka. I think that's his name. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. But he tweeted out this video. So this video got surfaced thanks to Grok, actually. Grok was the one that surprisingly brought this to attention. This is an old clip from the early 90s where Britney Spears was 10 years old. 10 years old. A sweet Southern girl. I think she was born in Louisiana. I'm not totally sure exactly, but sweet, innocent Britney Spears, who's in this talent show. I think it's like a Star Search before she got into the Mickey Mouse Club, which we're going to get into that later on in this video, because the Mickey Mouse Club, my God, it's not the innocent show you thought it was. But here, this is pointing out that this is a clip of men leering over a 10-year-old Britney Spears, aired to normalize what they are doing behind closed doors. So this is part of a documentary on Britney Spears. And listen what the adult narrator, a female human adult, is saying about a 10-year-old child performing on stage for a talent competition. This was in the early 90s. So listen how gross this sounds and how this relates to the Epstein files and why I had told people this is so important to understand. This is why people demand answers when it came to the Epstein files. Not just for the sake of exposing Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, but exposing sinister stuff like this. Take a listen.
At the tender age of 10, Britney was already using her budding sexuality to attract an audience.
At 10 years old. At 10 years old. Listen to what the narrator says. She was using her body. She was using her body in a sexy way to lure. What? At 10 years old. Hear that again. Hear that again.
At the tender age of 10, Britney was already using her budding sexuality to attract an audience.
She was using her body to attract an audience. A 10-year-old child in a simple dress here. Like, this is an outfit you would wear to Sunday school. She was using her body to attract an audience? Why would you say that about a 10-year-old child in a documentary? Showing a video of her in a dress here, an innocent looking dress with tights on, performing. Why would you say that as a grown adult? Hear that? Listen to this again.
At the tender age of 10, Britney was already using her budding sexuality to attract an audience. But when the Star Search cameras turned on, Britney was transformed, pouring on a sexy southern charm the judges had never seen in a package so small.
Again, this is an innocent 10-year-old child. Innocent 10-year-old child on Star Search, a talent competition show. And this narrator is documenting her like she's a porn star. What kind of sickness, what kind of illness do people have to say this about a child? Innocent child. Oh, she used her sexy body to manipulate people. She used her southern charm. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is so disturbing. So disturbing that a grown person could say that. It's out in the open. And sadly, this is so disturbing that this is the excuse that a lot of these PDFs use to excuse themselves from their perverted behavior. A lot of them use this excuse. Well, it's the children. They lured us in with their, sexy bodies. What are you talking about? These are children. You're a grown-ass adult. She's not mature. She's not fully developed. Even her brain doesn't fully develop till she's at least 25. You're an adult. You are responsible for your actions. And clearly, whoever this woman narrating is absolutely disgustingly sick. Talk about a 10-year-old like this. Like, no wonder why Britney Spears had those breakdowns. Honestly, stuff like this that's now being resurfaced gives me actually sympathy for Britney Spears. I feel sorry for her. The same way I feel sorry for Amanda Bynes after I saw Quiet on Set. I thought she was just a lunatic. I thought it was just a, simple child star just running amok and partying too much. But now I've realized, no, she was also traumatized the same way Britney Spears was. So let's watch the rest of this, and I'll try not to stop it. But again, I can't believe a grown person would say this.
At the tender age of 10, Britney was already using her budding sexuality to attract an audience. But when the Star Search cameras turned on, Britney was transformed, Pouring on a sexy southern charm the judges had never seen in a package so small.
She comes out in a very provocative gown with high heels, and all of a sudden that little girl knocks you right off your ass.
Provocative gown and high heels. Yeah, she looks like someone that's dressed for Sunday school. What are you talking about? Who are these people and why are they talking like this? Oh, a provocative gown and high heels. She's a child. She's a child in a dress performing on a talent show. You sick animals. It's so insane that they can just openly state this. And what's even more insane is people might look at this, and you've heard some excuses of people saying, oh, well, it was back in the day. Back in the day. In the early 90s? Really, in the early 90s, they're allowed to do this. Because it was a different time back then. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You know, I remember when I was 10 years old, nothing I heard like this. I came from an age when, cooties were still a thing. Remember that? We didn't want to talk about sex, how provocative children are. No, that's disgusting. What happened to childhood innocence? What happened to playing on the monkey bars and playing tag and all that stuff? It's so insane. It's so insane.
There is nothing more interesting to adult men than the development of an adolescent female. We are hardwired to recognize that.
You are the most adorable.
We are hardwired. Again, they're trying to make it sound like Britney Spears is doing this to the adults. Like she wanted this. Oh, she went on stage with this provocative dance and she danced around in high heels and oh yeah, she was leering people on. Are you out of your damn mind? She's 10 years old. 10 years old. You're supposed to be the adult. You're supposed to be the responsible one. You're the one that's supposed to take care of these kids. You're supposed to be the wiser one. But here you are. Allowing for your predatory behavior and excusing it because, oh, Britney Spears asked for it? What kind of sick... I don't even know what kind of sick minds these people have. This is what Ed McMahon, who hosted Star Search, that's this guy here on the left side. Listen to what he says.
Pretty eyes. You have a boyfriend?
No, sir.
How about me?
There's a lot of sexual energy that is oozing out of that little girl. She can't possibly manage that kind of sexuality. So as she grows up, you're going to see this split between Britney, sexual Britney, and then there's Britney. And those...
How is this a thing? How are we able to just get by through this? How was this allowed? Even in the early 90s. Oh, it's a different time back then. Really? So, adult, almost elderly men, Ed McMahon, I'm assuming he was in his probably 60s or 70s at the time. I don't know the exact age when he was doing Star Search. You think it was okay to ask a 10-year-old if she has a boyfriend, and two, that Ed McMahon should date? What the hell are you talking about? So this is why, again, why I believe the Epstein files are so important, so relevant, why people dismissing it as boring is so disgusting, because this reveals so much. This reveals so much of the sickness, the satanic rot. And I don't use that word lightly at this point because of everything that we know. Everything that we know at this point, the just absolute corruption, the absolute money laundering, the fact that we are ruled by these creeps should really open your eyes to the understanding of the world that you live in right now. That reality is finally kicking into people. And I know that sounds like a doomer approach. I know that's going to blackpill people, but that's the honest to God truth. It's the reality. And for more people to understand that, for more people to be aware of that, the more understanding of why the world that we live in operates the way that it does. Why everything seems like a left versus right issue. It's not. It's done by design to distract you from creepy shit like this. So here's another instance. This is Britney Spears at 17 years old. She was on a talk show, a British talk show, and listen to what this guy has to say to a 17-year-old girl. A 17-year-old girl.
There's one subject we didn't discuss. What was that? Everyone's talking about it.
What?
Well, your breasts.
My breasts.
You seem to get furious when a talk show host comes up with this subject. Okay, let's...
You seem to get furious when a talk show host talks about your breasts. At 17. Yeah! I think anyone would be. I think anyone would be, whether you're a child or not. Like, why would a talk show host even bring that subject matter? I know Howard Stern used to do that, but why would they do this on national TV in Britain? Oh, well, it was a different time back then, Jay. It's a different time, you know. Things are more open back then. People are more sensitive now. Really? Talking about a 17-year-old in that way. A grown-ass man talking about a 17-year-old. That's okay? That's okay? Like, no wonder why Britney Spears had those mental breakdowns. No wonder why. Child stars act the way they do. Because they get caught up in the industry. They get abused in so many different ways you can't even imagine. And they get plopped out into the real world where they are now struggling mentally and physically, and they lash out because they don't know how to cope and handle with all the stuff that they went through. The traumatic incidences that keep occurring in this industry. And the reason we know that is because of things like the Epstein files, because of Quiet on Set, because the curtain has finally been pulled on the systematic rot that allows for this to continue on. It's unbelievably insane, folks. Unbelievably insane. More of this.
In general, what do you think about breast implants? Just in general.
Well, I think if that's what you want to do and that would make you happy, then I see nothing wrong with it. But I haven't done that. But I think it's sad that people, think I've done that because that makes them want to go out. And, some of the fans that look up to me, they either think bad of me or they may want to go out and do that. But that's not my fault because the press started that. But
again, this is a 17-year-old talking about her body in that way, and then talking about breast implants. What? Why? Why are you bringing this to talk about on a talk show like this? Why is this allowed? Why is this allowed? Why is this grown adult looking at a 17-year-old in this way, in this manner? It's sickening. It's sickening. And there's just a lot more to this disturbing controversy. So, this woman, Speak with Dee Dee, did this little breakdown. Says, why was Epstein and this freak from UCLA professor so interested in Britney Spears? So, if you look at the Epstein files, Britney Spears appears multiple times in the files. That's why a lot of this is being brought to attention. Like, why is Britney Spears talked about in these emails? Are they just fans? Did they just went to the concerts? Did they think that, she was talented? No, it turns out they wanted something of Britney Spears. That a lot of these child stars go through the same the absolute abuse. Again, I mentioned Amanda Bynes, Demi Lovato. Why, Disney Channel, look at Miley Cyrus. all these people, that talented individuals, robbed of their innocence and just absolutely degraded in this manner, thrown out of the industry, told to, just live themselves, having all these traumatic experiences, and you wonder why they act the way they do. You wonder why they lash out. You wonder why, Britney Spears shaved her head and went through that phase. And we all laughed at it. We all laughed at it thinking it was nothing. Thinking it was just, crazy Britney. But no, this was her lashing out because she was a victim. Like a lot of these people. And here is what Jeffrey Epstein and this UCLA professor were talking about when it came to Britney. Listen to this.
Britney Spears' name has been mentioned multiple times in the Epstein files. I'm just curious as to why I have not seen anything about this on my FYP. Day after day, she is being laughed at by Hollywood, laughed at by the media, laughed at by the world, but seriously, we knew this whole time there was something so much deeper going on with this situation, and the only question I have are, where are her friends? Other than a few of them dressing up as her for Halloween and using hashtag Free Britney, they haven't done much. And it's just looking a little bit to me like Britney Spears was experimented on. Because why would Dr. Mark Tremo, who is affiliated with UCLA, be emailing Jeffrey Epstein about Britney Spears' conservatorship or her custody battles? Or the neonatal ICU project? Britney Spears was treated like a literal slave by everybody around her and made her go mad. She was exploited from the time she started the Mickey Mouse Club, and don't pay attention what those posters say behind her, until she was a 40-year-old woman. And even though Hollywood treated her like a monkey in a circus and about danced her to her own deathbed, she still to this day can't stop performing. It's almost like she's programmed or something. But many people have spoken out about this, it's just the world did not want to hear it.
Do you believe that Britney was trafficked to Diddy and
Absolutely. Absolutely. All of those girls, all of those Mickey Mouse girls, including Christina Aguilera, all of them, all of these children have been trafficked. Part of the reason why they can't tell you is because they were drugged.
Yep.
Most of what was happening to them was happening. And what they have left are the memories and the nightmares. Now they think they're just bad dreams, but they're memories. And because they've been drugged and they've been handled and they've been shrunk to death, they don't know what to believe, but they can feel it.
And I will stand by the fact that Britney Spears was failed by everybody. Her family, her lovers, and especially her friends. Because it took a team of people to do this to her. And anyone in the industry that claims that they protect children but don't protect the children in the industry are just snakes to me.
So, yeah, exactly. And again, all this information that's finally being released that back in the day we used to pick on people like Britney Spears, we should all feel ashamed now. Because clearly, her lashing out was a cry for help. Clearly. After what she's went through. And no doubt that it's traumatic to be a grown person having these memories, being told, that's what all this mind control is about. They use traumatic experiences filled with drugs, narcotics, alcohol. You try to, booze up these underage people, to abuse them mentally and physically to the point that when they grow up to be a functioning adult and having these realizations, it's extreme. And that's why they lash out. That's why they get, frustrated and angered and, they go wild. That's what Britney Spears did. That's what, again, Amanda Bynes, Demi Lovato, all these people, all these victims involved in this psychotic industry because of what we know from the Jeffrey Epstein files. This is why it's so vital to have this information. And this is why people need to understand this, because you cannot still comply to this if you're a good-hearted person. If you're one of these people that say you're a good Christian and pro-family and, you want to protect the kids, you cannot still comply to this. You still can't endorse Disney when they done this stuff. You can't comply to this. That's why I find it so fascinating that literally after the release of the Epstein files, after everything we know about the entire elite corporatization, the globalization, people are still running through their pens like the sheeple that they are, complaining about the Super Bowl and halftime. Really? I'm surprised people are still watching football, still complying to sports and entertainment after all this. After all this. How much more proof do you have to get for you to understand, for you to click in to the fact that you have been living a lie your entire life? That all this is manufactured to cover up the systemic evil, the evil rot from within, especially in the entertainment industry, in the sports industry, in banking, on Wall Street, everywhere in between. Why do you think they make the decisions that they do? Why do you think the people that run them are allowed to run these industries? Because they are sick. They are twisted. And they allow for this to continue. And of course, nobody is going to get held accountable. There's not going to be any arrests, and they're still going to allow to do this. And that's maybe why they released the Jeffrey Epstein files, or at least a portion of it, because they know that they already captured you. You're too dumb, too lazy to do anything about it. Clearly, you're complaining about football still. Why would anyone watch at this point? Why would anyone consent to the NFL at this point after everything we know about the NFL? Why? Why would they release the Epstein files at this point after all the years that they tried to cover this up, after all the years they lied to you? Donald Trump saying it was a hoax. Because they finally got you. Because you're not going to do anything about it. And if you do something about it, guess what? They already have your info. They have all your information, all your biometrics, everything on you. And they'll just silence you. They'll throw you in prison or worse. That's why they're doing this. That's why they're doing this. And all I could say after stuff like this is I feel horrified. I feel horrified and deeply sorry to any person who's gone through the entertainment industry and came out an individual who we made fun of for acting out or being crazy or shaving part of their head or, doing this crazy stuff because they were programmed in this manner. Britney Spears was a victim in this. A victim that came out of that industry in a horrific manner. That's why she lashed out. That's why, people were writing tabloid articles about what the hell is going on with Britney. That's why she was fighting with her father for conservatorship all this time. It's because of these instances that still happen to this day. Again, this is why it's so important. This is why releasing these documents and going through the Epstein files and seeing the true illness of our society, the true illness. And I know people cannot fathom this. That's what makes this so hard for people to understand. They can't fathom the idea that, it's only Jeffrey Epstein. It's only Ghislaine Maxwell. It's only these people. There's nothing wrong with football, right? There's nothing wrong with the music I'm listening to. There's nothing wrong with this, right? There's nothing wrong with that. It's the entire industrial complex that's manufactured and aligned to stuff like this. They're all part of it. They're all covering up. They all have their little parties. They all have their little connections. And they allow for this to continue on. Because this is what keeps the elites afloat. And just to show people, I did this little meme up for my followers on X here that really highlights all this. So obviously this is a meme from Rick and Morty here. Epstein files being released, and then you pull back the wall there and it says, knowing that child rape, money laundering, and satanist rituals, Satanist rituals, why did I say that? Satanist rituals is what keeps the elite afloat for decades. That's what makes this so difficult for people to fathom. That's why people have a hard time understanding this. Why it's a big deal. Why they want to cover up. Why they want to still have these, heroes. You still see people trying to cover up for Noam Chomsky. Why? Oh, because I can't lose my hero. Like, he said good things once upon a time ago, and I can't lose that. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to understand that this is not left versus right. Your neighbors are not your enemy. Your enemy is the people in the top that are ruling over you. They're telling you who the enemy is. And this is what I've been saying from the get-go. I know it's hard for people to understand. It took me some time for me to understand that you've been living an entire lie. You've been living an entire lie your entire life. That everything you see on a daily basis is manufactured to distract you from the grim reality that you live in. That the rulers, the oppressors, the aristocrats have been doing for decades. Abusing the peasants like you. George Carlin said it best. It's a big club. You and I ain't it. That's exactly what he's talking about. It's a big club. You and I ain't it. And they're just abusing people left, right, and center to their disposal. And unfortunately, Britney Spears was a victim of that. So, my apologies to Britney Spears. My apologies to Amanda Bynes. My apology to Demi Lovato. And to any other child star or any other person within that industry, within Hollywood, within the entertainment industry that thought, hey, Shirley Temple was a child star. Which, by the way, Shirley Temple, if you look at the history of that, holy crap, that is eye-opening, folks. That is scary stuff. If you look at Shirley Temple and her mother. Anyone who thought that they can get through, be the child star that they thought they were going to be, I feel so sorry for you. Because of what these grown adults that are supposed to be, wiser. They're supposed to be more responsible. They're supposed to be looking after the kids. They're supposed to be protecting the kids. And yet, here they are trafficking the kids to these industries for their own sick, twisted, manipulative, evil games. Like, there's no other way to explain it. There's no other way to describe it. So I feel devastated. I feel sorry. And I feel sorry to any people that I made fun of in the past because I didn't know anything at the time. Now that we know about this, it is just absolutely disgusting. And of course, nothing's going to get done about it. Because in order to stop the child exploitation of people like Britney Spears and so many others, they're going to have to smash Hollywood with a sledgehammer. The entirety of Hollywood. It's like the entirety of the financial industry. Just like the entire system that's so deeply corroded. That's why people can't fathom it. And that's why they rather, pick a fight about the halftime show at Super Bowl than realize they've been living an entire lie.